Welcome back to the Stepbrothers. I'm Wesley Clark here with Andrew Hyden. Michigan is your 2026 national champion in college basketball. Andrew is a very happy man.
Let's
What about
go.
how you feeling? My main question, I love merchandise. Will you be buying some?
Yes, I will. I haven't looked at anything yet. Probably get a shirt or something. But yeah, definitely will. Haven't looked yet though.
So, at what point in the game? Let's talk about personal feelings. Beginning of the game, how do you feel? Halftime, and then how did that progress slowly in the second half? What do you feel?
Yeah, I mean the tempo of the game played exactly into the way UConn wanted to play it. I mean, it was slow, it was defensive heavy. At halftime, I was feeling like, I still had a quiet confidence. I was obviously stressed out. Michigan just wasn't making shots at the rate they usually do. Offense just wasn't clicking like it usually does. And UConn is obviously, I mean, they were a top 10 team this year in adjusted efficiency on KenPom. So, of course, they have something to do with that. But, yeah, Michigan's been a second half team all year. I mean, Dusty May's halftime adjustments are one of his best attributes as a coach. I knew that they would come out with, more intensity in the second half, and I think they definitely did defensively. Still gave up. I mean, they gave up 22 offensive rebounds on the game, which is just not good enough. I mean, if it was any game but the national championship, I'd say that has to get cleaned up for the next game, but it doesn't matter much now. But yeah, Michigan just they found a way to win in so many different ways this year, and that was the best thing about this team. The stress didn't really settle until I think Roddy Gill was launching the ball into the air at the end of the game. That's when it finally hit me. But yeah, very stressful game. Pretty good game too. I mean, this was Michigan's toughest test of the tournament, other than maybe even Howard. That might have been their other toughest test. But yeah.
When you look at the stats, it's not really pretty for either team. 13%
No.
3-point percentage for Michigan, 9 for 33 for UConn. I mean, UConn out rebound Michigan, but it seems the timing of the rebounds was more clutch for Michigan. I'm sure the points in the paint were more for Michigan. So, that's obviously why, they couldn't hit the three, but, you're talking about, a lot of rejections at the rim for Michigan against UConn on the defensive side. When in the beginning of the game, when UConn took over, it still felt like a back and forth. I didn't feel that there was a momentum change. I still felt, okay, Michigan's I still thought Michigan was going to end up winning this just because of that. Because worst case scenario, if they had to go to the three, I think that if they had to hone in on that, I think they would still end up on top and they would hit their threes. They just realized, okay, we have this two layers of our offense and we can just win with one.
Right. Yeah, I mean, in every single game in the tournament, Michigan has scored 90-plus points, been above 40% from three, and this was just the complete opposite of that. I mean, I was waiting for the patented Michigan huge offensive explosion that they seem to have in every single game where they knock off 3 threes in a row or they have a couple of momentum plays in a row, some turnovers leading to fast break points, but it just never happened. And credit to UConn for always finding a way to get back into it and stop the momentum. Yep. But yeah, Michigan just kind of helped. I don't know how. I think they lead. Is that even? Yeah, I mean, they led for 75% of the game. So it was, I mean, they had a small lead pretty much through and through, wire to wire. Credit to Michigan just being able to get key stops when it mattered and find a way to squeak out an ugly win.
Yeah, Mortez Johnson, he was the only player on Michigan with a double-double. Mm-hmm. What does that mean in terms of basketball? Because UConn had they had two guys with double-double. Is that just because of missed shots or lack of, passing and assists? What is that? What does that mean? When
a double-double?
Well, just like, I mean, you win the game, but only one guy has a double-double. He had 10. He had only 10 rebounds, and he had 12 points.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's probably more games than not. No one will have a double-double. I mean, that's an impressive showing. Especially Mortez Johnson averages around like 6.5 rebounds this year. He was creating some extra opportunities on the offensive glass, which was good to see. Yeah, I mean, it was, I think For Michigan, the funniest thing about this game is for Michigan to have the best front court in the nation and a clear size advantage over UConn. I thought that would be what opened the dam, if that makes sense, but ended up being the guards. Trey McKinney hit some big shots. I mean, Roddy Gale didn't fill up the stat sheet, but had some key plays when it mattered. Like that putback dunk was a huge momentum play for Michigan. And Elliot Cadeau, I mean, the most outstanding player, a guy that North Carolina fans were completely done with after last year. He really struggled in his first 2 years of college. You know, a lot of people were calling it a mistake for Dusty May to pick him up and rely on him to be our starting point guard. But, I mean, he was the best player for Michigan in the Final Four, I think, especially with Yaxel Endeborg being out. So, yeah, just different guys being able to contribute different things. I think that was the biggest thing for Michigan. I mean, Mara had 26 points on a super efficient shooting night against Arizona. And last night he wasn't as much of a factor, but this team just had so many weapons and so many ways that they could win. And I think that showed against UConn.
The depth for Michigan also helped when going up against UConn, because when you look at the stat sheet, 8 points for UConn on the bench, and not even just the points, it's the amount of minutes on the court. Gale and McKinney had 25 points and 25 minutes on the court and 39 minutes for McKinney. That's huge in terms of resting and different looks against UConn. I mean, that's part of the reason why UConn had to just chuck up threes, because their Michigan's defense was as consistent throughout the game. And you're playing different guys throughout the whole game.
Yeah, I mean, Trey McKinney and Elliot Cadeau had to step up huge in the second part or this last kind of third of the season with LJ Kaysen going down. I mean, Michigan relied a lot on LJ Kaysen to create his own offense and be able to get in the paint and create for others. So Trey McKinney and Elliot Cadeau's minutes just really have increased. And you see Trey McKinney played 30 minutes last night. Elliot Cadeau also 30 minutes last night. I mean, they really had to step up, especially when, like I said, Yaxel not really feeling like himself, not able to do well. UConn seemed to have an answer for Michigan's bigs in terms of physicality. Yes, like you said, Michigan's bench this year has been one of the reasons for their success, and their ability to get that production from guys from guys off the bench that you can just rely on.
Yeah, I mean, watching this game, I definitely thought UConn gave Michigan their best matchup. You know, earlier when we were talking about the route to the Final Four, you enjoyed the pull that Michigan got in terms of the teams that they were going to have to play.
Right, like on Michigan's way to the Final Four you're talking about? Yeah, I mean, just stylistically, I think it favored Michigan a lot. The tempo of Alabama and St. Louis fit right into what Michigan wanted to do. Tennessee, a little bit different. Tennessee is more of a physical, defensive-oriented team, but Michigan just turned that game into a track meet from the start, and Tennessee couldn't really slow that game down. Arizona also wants to play in transition, not as much as like in Alabama, obviously, but also kind of just played into what Michigan wanted to do. UConn, I think, was the only team that really succeeded in throwing Michigan off their rhythm and disrupting them with physicality, but no, eventually, I think all those physical games in the Big Ten helped Michigan prepare for this matchup and ended up pulling it out.
I was a little surprised going back to the 3-point percentage, because against Arizona, 44% against the 3-point line. What were you worried at all in terms of that when you couldn't hit the three? Because you had seen against Arizona, that's what helped you win that game. Well, not even just that, it helped you almost score 100 points.
Yeah, I didn't like it. I mean, Michigan has scored. I had double-digit threes in every single tournament game, and they finished with 2 in this one. And they went the entire first half without making a single jump shot. Period. Not that Michigan hasn't been a live or die by the 3 type of team all year, but when you're generating those open looks that guys have been able to knock down throughout the entire tournament, yeah, I think that definitely scared me a little bit, especially when UConn was also getting some open looks, and they were also, especially in the second half, I think they went on a run of like 0 for 15 from 3, right? I was thinking like I think some of these for UConn are going to start to go in. You saw there was a couple or a few at the end of the game, right? Like Solo Ball banks in that three. So yeah, Michigan. I thought Michigan would have to heat up from three in order to win. That really didn't happen. I mean, you got the key shot from Trey McKinney dagger at the end of the game, which was huge. But yeah, definitely a completely different style than they've been winning this entire tournament, which I think is very impressive from this team and Dusty May and the staff that they can. I mean, they're just so adaptable. They could win in any way they want.
The head coach for UConn, he made comments about the refs, not negative ones. He talked, it's hard to ref that game.
Yeah.
We both played hard. If I could have those three guys ref every game of my career, I would sleep well at night. What did you think about the officiating? I know that during the game we talked about one technical foul that seemed a little soft. There seemed a couple. It seemed even, but it did seem soft. I do like the flow of basketball when it's allowed to be played, but when you have so many, everyone's going to line constantly, especially late in that first half, it really puts a dent in the entertainment.
Sure. I think in the first half, they were calling things a little more tightly. It was obviously a very physical game. These are two very physical defenses. I didn't think it was poorly officiated at all. I think it was a weird kind of shift in the second half to where they were starting to let guys really get after each other and be super physical when they had not really been calling it like that the entire game. The flagrant call on the hook and hold, I think that by rule is technically that play is what that call is designed for. I just don't love the rule. I don't think that should result in a flagrant. I mean, if you will look at the replay, like that, the guy's arms get tangled up all the time. I don't love that call, even though it happened to benefit Michigan. But there were a couple of clean blocks that Michigan had too that were called fouls. I thought it was fine though. It was a weird balance of calling ticky-tack fouls, but then also letting guys just assault each other. So I just don't think they managed the physicality super consistently, but overall I thought the officiating was fine. And even if Michigan lost, I don't think I would have had much to complain about with it.
Yeah, and obviously the biggest topic after Michigan winning the national title is the future and the modern era of college sports. We mentioned that when IU won football. You can mention that when Ohio State won the championship with Junkins, Will Howard, Caleb Downs. The starting five for Michigan, the first team to ever win a title with their all five starters came out of school previously before Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
What are the keys to success? I mean, obviously NIL, and it is getting that veteran presence on the court, on the field. We saw that IU. Yaxel is they're 23 years old. It helps.
Yeah.
IU's football team was 24 years old.
Yeah. Especially, that's a good point. I think experience, period, right? Like having veteran guys is more important than having experience within one system, right? I mean, you look at Will Cheddar, he's been at Michigan for all 5 years, ends a national title, he absolutely deserves it. He's, a leader in the locker room, but I mean, he didn't really have an impact much on this season for Michigan. Definitely didn't have an impact last night. It's the transfers, it's the veteran guys that you can bring in. I think that also speaks to just the importance of coaching, being able to get guys on the same page very quickly, right? Like you can't really count on having a guy for 4 years and having a complex system where you get them used to it. I think for that reason, I think coaching is still the most, actually maybe even now more than ever, I think coaching is the most important key to success in college sports, with the added difficulty to roster construction with the transfer portal and all that, having to get new faces organized, having to get guys playing together. I think for that reason, coaching is more important. And that's why, Dusty May is obviously as good as anybody. But what are your thoughts there?
Adapting to the coaches being able to adapt to the modern era. Yeah. Because there's one guy in mind who has not adapted, who won national championships and is now on the brink of being fired, and that's Dabo Swinney. Mm-hmm. I mean, look where that program has gone since NIL. He's a perfect example. And then IU is a perfect example of what you can do with NIL from
Yeah.
bottom feed and to on top of college football.
Yeah.
That is the key to success right now because it's new. Coaching, yes. After that is coaching. There's no Dusty May, Ryan Day. Those guys can coach, and without that, I mean, you're not going to win. I mean, if you go back to the Ohio State, the 2 losses they had this year, it came down to offensive play calling from Brian Hartline. The year before, Chip Kelly did a phenomenal job in those last 4 games, and that's what won them. You have the talent on the field and on the court.
Yeah.
It comes down to
sorry.
Well, yeah, it just comes down to coaching. And before I'll let you speak, Duke their coaching is the reason why that they were not in that game or playing against Michigan, because their coach didn't let the players know to hold on to the damn ball because there's 10 seconds. You don't even have to cross half court.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a mix of coaching and the fact that their players are just inexperienced, right? The guy who made that turnover, Caden Boozer, is a guy who, true freshman, didn't really play a lot the whole year. Then Caleb Foster gets hurt and he's thrust into kind of a bigger role. I think that inexperience is just as much of a factor there. But yeah, like you said, I think having a good coach and being adaptable I think adaptability is these days is one of the biggest attributes to what makes a good coach, right? Like it's being able to, put a roster together on 1-year contracts, as they like to call it, being able to get guys playing the brand of, not even just basketball, but whatever identity you want to have. I think that's wildly important. I'm not trying to downplay the importance of NIL and having money to spend on a roster, because that would be foolish of me to do so. Obviously, Michigan is one of the they weren't like the pinnacle of spending, right? They didn't spend as much as like Kentucky did this past year, but they weren't penny pinching either. I mean, talent will always matter, just like it always has.
Where do you see NIL and basketball? Maybe you can speak on specifically Michigan. Do you see more money being spent because of the success? Maybe the same amount, because you can win at this amount. Obviously, there's an inflation of roster spending. You have to go with the times. You're not going to spend $20 million whenever Ohio State's not going to spend $20 million in 2027 when everyone's spending 50. Yeah, you won with 20 in 2025, but you got to increase it.
Yeah.
Do you see basketball going at that same rate, or will you see a jump like we have with football?
It's going up. I mean, it's going up already. I know John Blackwell, Wisconsin's guard, who is in the portal now, is, his value is somewhere around like $5 million. I don't think it's going to jump as much as, or maybe not as rapidly as it has in football, right? It feels like the roster, the salary cap, if you want to put it that way, has doubled in the past 2 years. Partially just because there aren't as many roster spots in college basketball. So I don't think it has, it's going to inflate that much. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely going to continue to go up until something is done about it. I mean, the numbers are just going to keep going up and up. You're going to have to keep spending more to keep your key guys in your program. I think that's going to be the same with any sport, really.
I agree. And who is having success in terms of NIL? I mean, there's one conference that is absolutely blowing everyone out. And that's not just football and now basketball. That is the Big Ten is now winning at every single sport.
Yeah.
College basketball.
Football national championship, men's and women's basketball.
3 years in a row for football. Now winning in basketball. Wisconsin, Ohio State, and women's hockey are going back and forth. They've gone 4 years in a row.
Wisconsin and Michigan are both in the Frozen Four for men's hockey.
UCLA just won women's basketball. UCLA is the number 1 in baseball. USC is going to be in top 15 for baseball as well. I'm telling you, like this, it got personal.
It's changing of the guard. That's what it feels like.
It got personal for the Big Ten after the SEC just thought that they could continue what the business as usual. Business as usual is now NIL, and okay, we're going to take this over. And now they have. I mean, baseball has been more SEC and ACC, and that geography is one of those reasons, because baseball is a warm sport.
Yeah.
UCLA and USC are in California, and they're the top 2 in the Big Ten. But there's a big difference. And you go back to coaching. Justin Hare is the new Ohio State coach for baseball. I don't know him. I knew the coach prior to him, and I was not shocked when he was let go. I actually was more impressed when I got to know the Xavier head coach more than the Ohio State coach. So it's just on all levels, the Big Ten is getting better from baseball, hockey, and now college football and basketball.
Yeah. I think a big part of it too is the Big Ten schools, I think, have done a better job in recent history these past few years in terms of like a top-down, thorough, entire athletics department wide commitment to success, right? Like it's not just about spending NIL to get players. They really do their best job to get the best coaches possible. Look at Ben McCollum being hired at Iowa. Look at Dusty May at Michigan. Look at Kurt Signetti. They put a ton of effort into their assistant coaching salary pool. I think part of that is they just have more money to spend too, right? But I think that's been part of what it was. Like I think the SEC teams, and this is especially going back to like football, especially when you're able to just kind of stockpile a bunch of talent. This is something that Josh Pate talked about a little while ago. You're able to kind of stockpile a bunch of talent. The coaching and the other factors don't really matter as much, but when the playing field is more even, you have to look for any way you can get an edge. And I think Big Ten schools have done a better job of that as of late.
They have, and also the donors are going to help. You know, you have Mark Cuban funding IU football. I mean, their basketball program has now dipped down. They didn't even make the tournament, and that's what they're known for.
Well, I'm sure they're going to be spending a lot this offseason trying to get them back there.
Yeah, exactly. There's been talks about Alabama and their lack of donorship. You know, Houston, part of the Big 12, their head coach mentioned that they were poor, even though they've made the Elite Eight, Sweet 16 at least, several years in a row. The Big Ten, there's probably is some luck in terms of the alumni bases having more money than the SEC, but it plays a huge part. I don't have a problem with it because it's under the umbrella. It follows the rules, and it's now an even playing field, and it has given more teams opportunity to succeed, as we saw with IU and other schools competing for national championships.
Yeah, absolutely.
Even with the restrictions, I don't think, because with the information that I have gotten from people who played in the Big Ten and the SEC coworkers, they have admitted to paying players and to being paid. And
it's not really that much of a secret, is it?
It wasn't a secret. It was more, how can we fit this in a gray area? Nick Saban was historically known for hiring people's family members to work at car dealerships and restaurants that he owned. That's why teams such as Alabama in the back in the day were able to succeed. And now you can straight up say, I'm going to pay Jeremiah Smith 2.4. And what are you going to do about it? Nothing.
Yeah.
And Big Ten has more money. I mean, it shows that in professional sports, you can probably speak on it with the NBA more than I can, but everyone knows in Major League Baseball, the Dodgers spend the most, and they've won 2 championships in a row.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, in the NBA, obviously, they have salary caps, which helps. I don't know how like luxury tax and all that stuff works, but I think there is still a need for a cap. Now, if you have a cap that doesn't prevent, obviously there's still going to be disparity, and not every team is going to be able to reach that cap, right? Unless you really, set it at an insanely low amount. But it at least will prevent the inflation from it will at least prevent the $100 million college football rosters, which feel inevitable in the next few years at this current juncture.
I mean, at this rate, you're talking about, I don't know, I think the $50 million is going to hit this year. And I think
it might have been by Texas Tech.
So it started in 2021. I mean, I was a freshman in college, and Quinn Ewers he skipped his senior year to get paid 1.7 from Ohio State. So 2021, I believe, was the first year of NIL. Either way, nonetheless, it is now up to 50, and this is 4 or 5 years since that change. It will get to 100 million. I do think a salary cap or some sort of money cap of some sorts. It needs to be in place so you can even out recruiting. Because you're talking about donors such as Mark Cuban and Dave Portnoy getting involved in recruiting, and I don't agree with that. They're not a part of the program. They're not getting paid by the university. If we level the playing field now, if I get offered from Ohio State or Maryland and Virginia Tech, for example, two programs that can be good, both offering the same amount, it's going to come down to what academics and campus, and not just the money.
Right. Yeah. And I'll say this again. I mean, just as a point, that money is obviously very important, but you have to have the things that go along with it. You have to have great coaching. I mean, we saw, like, look at Kurt Signetti in Indiana. It's not like these past, I mean, they weren't bringing in 5-star guys from the portal. They were using the portal heavily, yes, and getting experienced guys. But I think that the biggest key to success in this era of college sports is, yes, having that donor base and being able to get the guys in, because, like I said, talent absolutely matters. But to be able to do that and then pair that with coaching and getting guys to buy in and getting guys to sacrifice their own accolades for the betterment of a team and all those things that have always mattered, combining those two, I think is what leads to the most successful teams.
For sure, because Oregon and Texas 2 years ago led in NIL. Last year it was Texas Tech, and they didn't win the national championship because they didn't have Ryan Day and Kirk Signetti.
True. And also getting the best guys or paying guys the most does not mean you're getting the right guys. And I think that's the guys who use the portal better than anyone else are the best at finding the right guys.
And a perfect example would be Oregon with Dylan Raiola and why am I blanking on his name coming back? Dante Moore. The same position. You're spending. I mean, Dylan Raiola is gonna make half as much, but he's still making $1 million. I mean, so you're spending $1 million for probably no reason, because you can just go in the portal next year and do what Ohio State did with Will Howard.
Or do what Miami does every year now, basically.
Yes, exactly. So I don't know. The right guys for sure. I mean, you're talking about people who are cancer in the locker room. That's one thing. And then positions that are already filled. You don't need 3 5-star wide receivers. We saw this year. Ohio State didn't win it, even with that. So, and the offense was their issue. So yeah, I agree with that. But coaching, I think, would be the key to success. And which is still it was back in the day as well. But I don't know if you want to speak on Michigan, UConn one more time on that game. Anything you have left?
I'll just say, I mean, as long as Dusty May is in Ann Arbor, I don't see Michigan going away anytime soon. They have the number 2 recruiting class in the country right now. They're without a doubt going to get at least a couple guys in the portal. I don't know who's going to leave. I don't know, if Merez Johnson's coming back. I doubt. I mean, obviously Axel's not coming back, but I feel like Adai Mara has played himself into the first round. So yeah, I think Michigan is, as long as Dusty May is there and they're recruiting at the level they're recruiting right now, I think they are going to compete with the top powers in college basketball.
Yeah, for Ohio State, Derek Royal puts the ball to UConn. So we'll see what happens there. Obviously, Bruce Thornton will have to move on with life. He doesn't have any more eligibility. And Mobley will be back. But for Ohio State, in terms of football, Carnell Tate has a new projection. I think I mentioned this in a couple episodes. You can go check that out on our YouTube page. Just go to our page, and we have our titles that you can see talking about the draft and what led to Michigan's run. And then obviously go follow us on Twitter and TikTok. But Carnell Tate, his projection now is what I predicted will be at number 6, and that is the Cleveland Browns. He will not fall. I don't think he'll fall I don't. If he falls to number 7, which was the Washington Commanders, I don't believe that they take them because of the lack of defense that they had in 2025. So I think Carnell Tate will be at number 6. The defense for the Cleveland Browns really hasn't been the issue. Denzel Ward and Myles Garrett have been the best at their position for now 4 or 5 years, and they're getting max contracts.
Yeah.
The offense the quarterback has been a huge issue for the Browns with Dylan Gabriel, who was at Oregon, and Shedeur Sanders at Colorado with his dad. So I think Carnell Tate would be another addition. Obviously, he's a Chicago guy. He's went to Ohio State. You're staying in that region. People in Cleveland are big Ohio State fans. He would feel at home if he went to Cleveland. I think that's a big plus as well for when in terms of drafting guys to where they went to college.
Yeah, and if you're an NFL GM and you see what Ohio State wide receivers have been doing in the league, right? Even like Emeka Egbuka, who was not even the best receiver on his team as a senior at Ohio State, and what he did in his rookie year, I think Carnell Tate will be getting the benefit of the doubt from an NFL GM for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And there was talks about Carnell Tate and him not running a 4-2. They were skeptical about Emeka Egbuka, and look what he did with a team that didn't go to the playoffs. And Baker Mayfield, who struggled to give him the ball in the second half, still had 500 yards and several touchdowns. So Carnell Tate, great route runner. I mean, he's not a Jeremiah Smith, but I mean, look at Terry McLaurin was a 3rd-round pick out of Ohio State, and he's now making 30 a year, 32 a year, something like that. So, yeah, Carnell Tate won't have a problem, but I wouldn't be surprised if he goes number 6. I think Caleb Downs is the player that has dropped down the boards out of any of the Ohio State players. Arvell Reese still will be at number 2. Sonny Styles, I believe, has jumped up big time from 20 to, I believe, to the Commander's slot at number 7. I think will end up in Washington, and then Carnell Tate in Cleveland. Not sure where Downs will go, but I think he'll go maybe around 9.
Gotcha. I'm going to add something too, because talking about the draft made me think about it. We were talking about the portal and the inflated rosters, and if that same thing will happen to basketball. I think because of the way that the NBA draft is compared to the NFL draft, I think there will always be, like we've talked about how high school recruiting has mattered less and less because of the portal in college football. But because you have such talented guys in college basketball or high school basketball that are ready to play in college and they can go one and done, I think that's always still going to be a priority for teams, because they're just so much more likely in basketball to make a big impact right away than they are in football, that I don't think in this current era teams will be as the portal will be as dominant over high school recruiting in basketball as it is in football.
Yeah, so you're saying it's for football, the portal will be maybe the biggest factor to win a championship. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, well, I think it's definitely important for both. I mean, especially you just talked about it with Michigan's roster, but because in the NFL draft you have to be there for 3 years, and guys are usually they need to develop a ton before moving up to the next level, versus college where guys can come in as a freshman. Like you see what Cooper Flagg is doing right now. He's supposed to be a freshman in college because he reclassed up. They're much more ready-made, and for that reason, I think there will always be an emphasis on high school recruiting in basketball, whereas in football now, I don't think a lot of teams have that same priority because of the portal.
For sure, and obviously football, I mean, talk about the physicality of the game, the danger of it. Basketball, I mean, if you're a great 3-point shooter, you're going to have yourself a chance at 19 years old. And I don't think that ever changed. You get Zion Williamson and make an immediate impact. Why would you pass up on that if you're a big program over a transfer who has struggled at UNC, for example?
Yeah.
So, I don't think that will go away.
Yeah. So now the off season of college sports watching for me is starting. It was a great run. Got to go up till the very end of the season this year with my team. So that makes the time a little bit shorter, but yeah, it's going to be a long summer. Spring game coming up, though, very soon for both of our programs.
Ohio State on the 18th as well. I believe Michigan
also on the 18th.
Yeah, and Andrew has a personal exciting news that he might want to share to the world.
Oh, I wasn't going to, but yeah, I will be going to the University of Michigan, Go Blue, to get my master's this fall. So. No, I was already decided before they won the championship. I didn't
He did
They
it. He
won
pulled
it.
a Quinshon Junkins right after the game. Quinshon Junkins right after when Ohio State was, what year was it? I think after they lost to Michigan, he said, "Oh, I'm going to Ohio State."
In
He did it like
basketball?
right after after a football game, after an Ohio State football game that he was watching, he immediately committed to Ohio State.
How would that have been possible?
Junkins the year prior.
No, I know, but how would that have been like?
At
Wasn't he also playing at the time that
no,
Ohio
I
State
think
would
it
have
was
played?
Ohio State had lost. He already entered the portal.
I'm confused. I don't remember the situation at all.
Now that I'm thinking, I just remember seeing that Quinshon Junkins was going to Ohio State, and it was after they lost the game. It might have been after against Missouri,
Oh, okay. Yeah,
not Michigan. Yeah,
I got you.
yeah.
But yeah, we'll be
So
going
that-
there. So
Well, congratulations.
go Blue. Thank you.
I think that's it for obviously a long summer to go. We'll have a spring game updates for you, pregame shows for that. Both these teams are going to have different looks for their football programs, and we'll talk about the NFL draft. A lot of guys getting drafted from just combined from both schools, so we'll see what happens.
More from your school than mine, but
yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens there. But Michigan wins the national championship, 69-63. Go get some merch for yourself.
Oh, I will. You gonna get some? You want to get you something?
Nah, I'm good. I'll just get the 2027 national champion for football, 2026. So maybe both.
Sure.
Go back to back.
You want another Michigan? So you want that Michigan national championship merch, not this one?
No, Ohio State national champions in football.
That's weird. Huh. Okay. I didn't think that was like really possible.
Yes.
Are they gonna be good this year?
This happened. Yeah, probably. They're the most consistent program in the country. Maybe an Omaha, Ohio State baseball shirt if they can get through UCLA, which they got swept by. But they have won 7 in a row, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, we did say if Michigan and Ohio State both ever make the College World Series in the same year, we will be going. I don't think that'll ever happen in our lifetime or ever.
I don't know if that's ever going to happen because of Washington has improved the Big Ten in baseball themselves. They're not really that huge on baseball, but they're solid. Big Ten baseball is just not that great. But UCLA, SoCal, I mean, it's going to be tough. I mean, they got slaughtered by UCLA, but have now won 7 in a row in the Big Ten. So I don't know if that's ever going to happen. If Ohio State does go to Omaha one day, they won the Big Ten in 2019. I mean, now there's several players in the MLB that were on that team. I would go to Omaha to check it out because that'd be crazy.
It'd be fun to go to. I want to go too, even if Michigan was there in 2018, 2019?
Yeah, something
the runner up.
Yeah.
Something like that. But yeah, seems like one
once a blue moon.
Off topic.
Yeah, the Big Ten doesn't. They got to improve somehow. If they can,
topic for later day.
The weather can get better. Up north.
Yeah, I don't think that's coming anytime soon. But
anyway, go follow us on TikTok. Andrew making probably a national championship TikTok if you haven't made one yet.
I already did last night, but I'll be making more.
There you go. So go watch that. Go like it. Subscribe and go watch our previous videos. I've done some NFL draft predictions as well for Ohio State. Let us know what you thought about the championship and what players you're excited for the spring games that both teams are playing on the 18th.
We'll be here to talk that next week, I'm sure.
Yeah,
it's
coming up
next Saturday, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
All righty. Well,
all right.
Appreciate your time. We'll see you guys next week. Thank you for watching.